Who knew a picture could cause so much trouble? On the outside, the only thing unusual about this picture is that Zelenskyy is not wearing green. Shock horror. And furthermore, he's smiling. Signing American missiles from a Ukrainian leader might have some pro-Russian fans shouting "Niet," but there is more to this picture. Election interference, says Americans' election candidates. It's a tough time for Ukraine's leader Zelenskyy right now. America is one of Ukraine's biggest donators in its war with Russia, giving everything from rockets, jets, and freedom. But it's also America's election season. And for more information about what each candidate promises to bring Ukraine, do check out my earlier video. Zelenskyy normally stays quite cautious, keeping both presidential candidates happy just in case the one he doesn't want to win actually wins the election. But it seems this time on this trip he may have slipped up a little bit, and he may have unintentionally hedged his bets and endorsed one candidate over the other. That candidate seems to be Harris. Speaking of Donald Trump, Zelenskyy said Trump does not know how to end the war. He will make Ukraine lose territory. And for bonus points, he called Trump's vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, too radical. Indeed, part of Donald Trump's plan to save Ukraine is to surrender some of its land to Russia. Not very convincing for Ukraine. Better to stick with Harris, who promises to give more shiny missiles to Ukraine. Zelenskyy knows that a Trump plan is not good for Ukraine and potentially not good for Europe. But saying this so publicly and so vocally may have been too early for Zelenskyy. Sure, the American polls are showing that Harris does have a slight lead over Trump right now, but Donald Trump does not take kindly to criticism. Trump was furious. He went back to saying that the USA gave Ukraine too much cash and that Zelenskyy was the greatest salesman of all time. Although, coming from Trump, that sort of sounds like a compliment. Zelenskyy tried to contain the fallout and reached out to Trump, hoping to have a cancelled meeting back on the table. In an unlikely move, Trump posted the correspondence to his social media site. Here you can see Zelenskyy charming Trump by telling him what he wants to hear, that he's important and that Trump is highly respected. Trump clearly felt the need to show his audience how much Zelenskyy valued him. And it appears to have worked. As I make this video, the meeting is back on. Then this picture happens. Zelenskyy signing a missile at a missile factory. The Speaker of the US House, Mike Johnson, another Trump fan, demanded that Ukraine fire its ambassador for arranging this missile factory trip. Look at the picture, he says. It's full of Democrats. And look where it is. It's Pennsylvania, a swing state. We need that state, says Mike Johnson, in order for the Republicans to win the election. Mike Johnson has said, look at this. Democrats all over the place, Democrats talking to Zelenskyy in a swing state that the Republicans need. This is election interference. It may or may not have been a stretch, but that hasn't stopped the Republican-led House Oversight Committee announcing that it would investigate whether Zelenskyy's trip was an attempt to use a foreign leader to benefit the Democrats' campaign. Zelenskyy has usually charmed both presidential candidates to make sure that both are on his side whoever wins the election. So to unintentionally endorse one over the other is unusual. But Zelenskyy may just feel indebted to Democrats who have been kinder to Ukraine, who have pushed through more funding, while Trump's party, the Republicans, have often sought to block it. Zelenskyy will have gone to the USA keen to avoid drama, to get his peace plan looked at by Biden, and to get some extra funding. Both those missions were accomplished, but in terms of publicity, Zelenskyy might be feeling uneasy. He goes back to Ukraine knowing that Trump is angrier and even more skeptical of Ukraine than when Zelenskyy first arrived to the States. Europe is still saying that it will defend Ukraine, and if Kamala Harris wins, then we can expect more of the same, funding shiny missiles to Ukraine. But it now leaves us wondering, what does happen if Trump wins?